Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Michaud, the founder of Elemental Growth, and this is our 28-day Spring Clean Challenge. I'm really excited to have you all here, and I've got an awesome guest speaker to join us today. Her name is Courtney Ross, and she is expert in functional medicine, in fitness. You know, she's that girl that's working out with the guys all the time, keeping up to them, and she's a great inspiration. I'm really excited to have her here and share some of her story, experience, and knowledge with us because we need it. So Courtney, if you just want to give a little introduction into who you are, what you do, who you help, that would be wonderful. And then we can start talking about, why it is that we're here, gut health, fitness, all these things that everybody's been asking about.
So hi everybody, I'm Courtney and I am a functional medicine practitioner, personal trainer, health coach, and nutrition specialist. And I got into fitness about 15 years ago and seriously as a professional 15 years ago. And before that, I was a full-time model and I decided that I couldn't model forever. And I also wanted to have some longevity in that business. So I thought the only way I could do that was really to be fit. And so that's kind of how that started, along with some minor surgery, which kept me off the runway for a little while. And I couldn't stand being sedentary. And then once I really got involved in fitness and saw that I could change my own body, I was like, well, wait a minute. I can help other people do this too. So one thing kind of led to another. And once I started to realize how the body functioned and the way the body moves, I decided I wanted to get more into health coaching and help people figure out their why. Why do they want to do this? What are their hurdles? What's holding them back? And then along came the nutrition portion of it. And everybody's body is different. So not every nutrition plan works for everybody. And then through a bad relationship, I kind of got into functional medicine because I wanted to help him. And, I realized very quickly you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. But when you realize all the things that the gut affects in the body, for every one signal that the brain sends to the gut sends 9 to the brain. And so when you realize that that's the case, and I saw the way he ate and I saw his mental health struggles and the things that he dealt with and the wild fluctuations in mood and temperament and those things, I really, really took a deep dive. And then once the more I started to see things click, the more I got involved and the more I wanted to learn and the more I was like, whoa. And it was just so fascinating to see how the body systems are connected, what affects what, and the fact that if we have a healthy gut, the rest of our body really is going to be healthy because that's pretty much where it all starts. And so the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. And then it was just, all right, more school, all right, more classes, more this, more, because it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much, and the science is constantly changing because so much of this is evolving. But I can't get enough. Like I literally nerd out over this stuff. Like my friends laugh at me because I sit at home. I don't turn my TV on all day. If I don't have clients, I'm on a webinar. I'm like educating myself somehow. And so, it's wreaked a little havoc on my social life, but, whatever. As far as I know, I'm healthy though, and I'm helping other people be healthy. So it's all good.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is for you right now. Maybe that is what your social life is at this time in your life, that
Yeah.
and it's going to evolve like everything else.
Yeah, and I really love it. I really do love it because there's not a time I said, oh, I should have watched that webinar, or I should, there's so much to learn and there's so many nuances to things because when you're looking at how the body functions at a cellular level, everybody's going to be different, whether it's genetically or cell signaling or things like that. And so it's really just, it's so nuanced that there really is no one size fits all approach when you get down to this kind of work.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I just love the passion that you bring to this and your own personal experience working through these
My own nerdiness.
It's so true, right? Like sometimes it's because of a relationship or somebody else that gives us the passion and the drive to start doing these things. And then it's like click, 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 click. Yeah, it's beautiful. It all serves a really good purpose. And
yeah, I came at it organically, and then and he and I don't even speak now, and I'm like, oh, I just want to help him. Like I still really want to help him, I don't want to be with him, but I want to help him. And, because it's me, like he would never listen. It's fine. But you know what? Now I have the ability to help other people. And I really want to do that because I've seen people's lives change by implementing simple things. And part of the problem is, here in the States, we're raised that you can do whatever you want to your body. You can abuse your body. And when you don't feel good, go to the doctor, they'll give you a pill and you take it and you feel better. We are not at all taught to take responsibility for our health and well-being. And then once shit goes downhill and you're like, oh my God, I feel like crap. And okay, well, yeah, you took this pill and now you have these other side effects from taking this pill. Then you go get this pill because it helps with those side effects. You end up with this cascade of drugs that have fixed nothing, and you feel a little bit better on the surface, but do you? Because then you start to get used to that chronic fatigue and this little like, oh, I have this elbow pain and this tendonitis and these little things that show up and stick around that don't need to be there. And, the fewer drugs we're on, the better. But the problem is nobody makes money if we're well. So nobody's going to promote, hey, maybe you shouldn't take this. Maybe you should do this because it's good for your health. Because if you're not going to the doctor and you're not filling those prescriptions, nobody's making any money.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. And, these kind of pains and aches and things that people are getting, and even mental health issues, like especially with entrepreneurs, it's like 50 times like
the stress.
Yeah. And also because everybody's eating out and like all these other things. And it's like, that's all affecting the gut. And when the gut is affected, everything is affected.
Right. And stress is the top driver of disease.
Yeah.
And, if you can't manage your stress, then, what happens from there? Okay. Well, like you said, you're eating poorly, you're not sleeping well, now your cortisol's off. Now you have leaky gut. Now, and you start adding all these things together. No wonder people feel like shit. Now they're self-medicating. Sorry, I have a really bad potty mouth. Now they're medicating with wine. You know what I mean? And now they're drinking wine. Well, that's not helping their gut any because of the glyphosate and then, all of the toxins that are involved there, because that's going to outweigh the resveratrol that you're getting if you're drinking red wine.
Yeah,
and so
sorry to interrupt, but like, why is everybody saying, let's drink wine instead of why not go have a grape? Like, go eat those grapes, those organic grapes. It doesn't have to be the wine to get those benefits.
I don't drink just because I don't like the taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
My vice is sugar. Like, I'm very openly a sugar addict. I'm not proud of it, but that's my thing is sugar. It's a constant battle, and I have to be very aware of what's in the house. But I'm not a drinker or anything like that. But yeah, it's a big vice I see for a lot of my female clients. Wine. And I'm like, no, it's not that good for you. Like, oh, but they say and I'm like, no, but the glyphosate, because most people aren't drinking organic wine. They're just grabbing whatever,
Yeah.
And that's usually not the best option.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And so let's talk about some other things that are going on in the gut. So, there is like these pesticides that are going into our food. There is the stress factor. There is the mental health link. What is it that you're most passionate about? What is it that you see coming up in your own practice so often?
Oh boy. There isn't one thing because it's all connected. Because stress is so prevalent, most people, which this was shocking to me, I find a lot of people really don't know what healthy options are. They think they're eating something healthy. And I'm like, wait, you just ate what? Don't eat that. But I think that's actually more of a challenge than I thought. And I think part of that is because of the health halos that are put around things. Like, you buy something at the store and it says fortified with. Well, if your gut health is poor, you're not absorbing that. So it doesn't matter what it's fortified with. Your body's not taking it in. So if it's coming in one end and going out the other end, it doesn't matter what it's fortified with. I don't know. Do you want me to talk about glyphosate and what that does? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, not everybody's going to know what that is. I do talk a little bit about GMOs, but a refresher for everybody would be great.
Okay, so there's glyphosate and there's GMOs, and we'll start with GMOs. The GMOs, that's basically genetically modified foods, mostly corn, at least here in the States, corn, soy, zucchini, I think it's zucchini squash is a big one too. But there's some major issues with the GMOs. Part of it is
berries.
Yeah, I mean, some potatoes,
Yeah.
but not all things are GMO. So it just depends. And most things, obviously, if you can, buy things that are organic and non-GMO, especially if you're eating the skin. So we think about fruits and vegetables in that
regard. The nutrients are is in the skin. So we actually should be eating that.
Right. Yeah. So like your berries and your apples and things like that. So let's go back to the GMOs. So the GMOs, the issue there is that they have genetically modified the seed. So once you genetically modify that seed, it's not going to grow the same way. So it might look the same, but the properties in it are differently. And part of what they have genetically modified plants for is to make them resistant to pests, which the idea there was to be able to use less glyphosate. Well, that's all well and good, except that they had then genetically modified corn, for example. There's a variant called BT corn, and that is a type of corn that if a pest eats it, it will make their stomach explode. Now, that's bad for the pest, okay? Like, okay, that's bad. But they said, oh, but it doesn't have an effect on people because people don't have the shikimate pathway. Now, the shikimate pathway is what it affects in that particular pest that's going to go eat the corn. And they said, well, people don't have the shikimate pathway. Humans don't, which is true. However, our gut is filled with bacteria. We are more bacterial cells than we are human cells. Yeah. Now, our bacteria do have the shikimate pathway. So now that shikimate pathway gets affected by that BT corn that you're eating, which is high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, all of these things. It's not just everything corn. It is all of this boxed crap that you're buying at the store. Yeah. Unbeknownst to you, because I mean, most people don't know this. You're just thinking, okay, well, people aren't going to try to poison me slowly. So you buy the food. But so now with that shikimate pathway being in our gut, being possessed by our bacteria, when you take that in, then it destroys that bacteria. Well, once you have dysbiosis and that bacteria is destroyed, now that cell wall, which is just one cell layer thick, that mucosal barrier, can be permeated more easily. Once that gets through, now that's leaky gut. And once you get denatured proteins passing through that barrier, your body is going to launch an immune response because now there's things in your blood that aren't supposed to be there. And once those things are there and they're not supposed to be, your body's like, no, as it should be. But sometimes it can have a more robust response than it needs to because it doesn't understand that that's perhaps just food. And depending on how robust that response is, well, now it's causing tissue damage. It's not just going after that particular molecule or particle. So once it starts to cause other tissue damage, now we're talking autoimmune disease. And so that is basically the start of the vast majority of autoimmune disease is from things like that. And it doesn't have to be just because of a GMO food. You might be intolerant to something, but that is certainly going to exacerbate the problem when we think about how many things are now genetically modified. Like nobody should be eating cereal. Like you should not ever be touching conventional cereal, ever. Another big culprit of GMOs is, like crackers and things like that, because all the little processed and modified things in there are all GMOs. So let's go to glyphosate really quick. Okay, so glyphosate is basically Roundup. So probably a lot of you guys are aware of that. So, and that was a Monsanto product. Monsanto was bought by Bayer, and there's tons of lawsuits. And again, this was something that at least in the United States, when that came out, it was the government said it didn't have to be proven as safe. It was basically, well, if they prove it's unsafe, then we'll do something about it. But the people from Monsanto are like, oh, it's good for you. There's nothing wrong with that.
Feeding the world.
Right, because here's the deal. So it served two purposes. So one is as a pest killer, as we know Roundup to be. So you spray it and you kill things. Okay, well then they realized that also can be used as a desiccant. Now a desiccant is, those are those things that you get like in your protein powder or BCAAs or anything that you buy that shouldn't be wet. So you get those little packets in there. It says do not eat. A lot of times they say silica, whatever, but those are desiccants and they pull moisture. So once wheat is ready to harvest, you cannot harvest it unless and until it's dried. So that becomes the next issue. Well, now they have to wait for it to dry, but if they can dry it quicker, now they can put another crop down and harvest that quicker. And part of that was, all right, well, we could feed more people because, the United States is feeding all these third world countries and all that, which is great. But now half of these countries won't even take our wheat because of the Roundup and the glyphosate. So then what they started doing was spraying it because they realized it was a desiccant also. They sprayed it, like literally crop dusted. So instead of spraying between rows or whatever, now it's completely saturated with glyphosate in order to dry it out. So now it dries out, then they harvest it, and then they process it. So now, not only has a lot of it been genetically modified, now it's completely saturated with a toxin. Then they process it, they say, here, eat it. I'm not eating that, but that's what's in our food supply. And they had recently done, this might have been, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, they had done a study on what like snack foods had the most glyphosate. And you know what came out number one of all the things that they tested to have the most glyphosate in it? Stacy's potato chips. And those are something they have kind of a health halo around them, right? But if you think about it, they're pita, it's just bread. And so of course it doesn't have, it doesn't deserve the health halo that it has. And I don't know that the people at Stacy's Pita Chips are trying to do anything bad. But, when they did the study, Cheez-Its have less glyphosate than Stacy's Pita Chips. And I mean, that's kind of like, that's not what you would think. If you're going to put those two things next to each other and you're going to think, I'm going to make the healthier choice, people are going to go for Stacy's Pita Chips. But now you're eating a GMO product that's covered in glyphosate that's doing God knows what to your gut health. And so it just goes to show that, we don't get all the information that we should get. And it's really, really important that we do what we can to educate ourselves to get some information so that we can make good choices. Because if we just believe what's listed on a label, we're definitely selling ourselves short and setting ourselves up for disease and illness.
Yeah.
That was kind of long, but I feel like it's important for people to know that if they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And really thank you for going into detail like that. So can you just tell me, what are some good ways to take this information and really start implementing it? So we know that glyphosate is bad. We know that GMOs are bad. We know that this is actually damaging our gut. Like we need that bacteria because that's what we are. And we need the good stuff to keep it.
Once your gut is in dysbiosis, that can be depending on the tests you run, who you work with, what else is going on in your life. That could be a really, really tough thing to get back because that could start way back in childhood with having just a few courses of antibiotics when you're little.
Yeah.
So those things can
stem birth too, right? If you have a C-section instead of a vaginal birth, that's another one too. It starts
and
right away.
I don't think nearly enough, but they started for some women who have C-sections to take a swab of the vaginal canal and run it inside the baby's cheek, which is great. I mean, you think about it, you're like, ugh, but it's important, microbes to help the baby build their initial microbiome, because if their initial microbiome is fed by sterile gloves or, like a metal tray that they get placed on after they're born, that's not doing them any favors. And so it's really key, but those things all throughout life, like my intake form for functional medicine patients is like 25 pages. It is so long, but it's so helpful. And I think that people start to understand, because I want to know, have you broken any bones? Did you have a concussion? Did you have a lot of earaches? How many times were you on antibiotics? What kind of family history do you have? Because, your genes, like a lot of people get really hung up on genetic testing, and it can matter for certain things, but ultimately your environment will signal your genes. So you could have some genetic SNPs in certain things, but if you're eating properly and doing the right things, those genetic SNPs don't have to be expressed. Yeah. So it's a combination of environment and your genes. But if you're doing everything right for your body, most of those things you won't even notice. It's once your body starts to go downhill and that toxic body burden starts to climb, that those things will get expressed, and then that balance tips, and then people are just like, wait, I don't know what happened. I felt fine until yesterday. But the thing is, our bodies are amazing, and they will do whatever they can to adapt until they can't. And so half the time we don't know that our bodies are struggling. I've been kind of tired for the last week or so. I had another cup of coffee. I drank another can of Coke, and I was fine. I mean, so people don't think about, because we get so caught up in our jobs and our lives, like our responsibilities, that we don't usually take the time to listen to what our bodies are telling us. And when we do notice something, we're too busy, we don't have time for it, I'll deal with it later. And as those things start to snowball, there's going to be a straw that breaks the camel's back. And it could be a really simple stressor. It doesn't have to be a huge event. And that's a lot of times what it is something simple. And then somebody will say, well, I don't know what happened. I was fine. Like this stupid little thing happened and now I don't feel good. Well, but your body had been trying to tell you something for the last 3 months, 5 years, 15 years. And it worked really, really hard on your behalf. But now it's overwhelmed. And now you have to do something to help it. So, I mean, it just kind of, so we have to take the time and listen to our bodies.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so much a fractal that we get caught up in, this is just the way it is, or this is like genetic or whatever. And it's like, no, really, you have all the control in your hands. You're your own person. You're not your parents. You're not that family karma. Yeah, we can go back 7 generations or whatever, and we can find things. And that's really great tellers and good way to learn about yourself and learn how to be a better person, learn how to break those patterns. But that's our job, is to break those patterns, not to give in and just be like, oh, that's just how it is. No, you take that, you learn.
Not me, know what happened, this is the lot I'm dealt. No, we can do something about that. And the vast majority of things that people say, and I don't know, like, I still go to my regular doctor. Sometimes I wonder why, because I ask questions and he can't answer them. He just looks at me and I'm like, never mind, I'll go figure it out. But, I'll ask a question and he'll say, oh, well, this is because you're getting older. Wait, what? Oh, no, you didn't. Because that's BS. Like most things, the vast majority of things don't just happen because you get older. Most of them happen because our toxic body burden is building as we age. And most people have not done a true cellular detox or cleanse, or like, okay, I drank juice for a couple of days. Okay, well, that's great, but it's really not, like digging in. And so if you're not doing anything like that, your body can only take so much. So yes, things will break down and things will get harder and, things happen as we get older, but most of them can really be assuaged if we are taking care of our bodies. This is a quick story. I've always had like hormone issues and whatever, and I never knew why. So I've been put on the pill since I was in high school, which was a really long time ago. And so I'm still on it now, which that's actually the worst thing I do for my body is I'm on synthetic hormones. But now I'm like afraid, it's the convenience that I'm still on it. But anyway, so I'm on the 3-month pill, and every like 6 weeks or 7 weeks, like obviously way early, I would just get my period. So I'd ask my doctor, like, what's going on? Now, mind you, I'm a fitness person. Like I have a fitness business. I'm a fitness competitor. I'm a professional bikini competitor. Like this is what I do. And he said to me, and I quote, well, you're just getting to be that age. Your uterus has atrophied. I'm sorry, my what has atrophied? Nothing on my body has atrophied. Like I get a little lazy sometimes, but don't tell me that my uterus is atrophied just because I haven't used it. Are you kidding me? And so I started looking into like, what could this be? And this was years ago. And I was just like, well, I guess that's just how it is, but that doesn't make sense to me. And as I started down the functional medicine path and learning about body systems and how our hormones are processed and things like that, I started working on my liver. Don't you know? No more random periods.
Yeah.
That was not difficult. I asked him if he could run a Dutch hormone test on me. He was like, blank stare. I was like, do you know what that is? He's like, oh, never mind. So,
not with the IgG tests and things like that for food allergies. Nobody in Canada is associating food allergies with any hormone health issues or with even some skin conditions. They're just
oh my gosh, it's huge for atopic dermatitis, and food sensitivities are like,
yeah.
And I don't know how to share my screen, but I actually have. Is it handy? If you know how to.
Yeah, you'll have to do it on your end, but there should be a button there. It's green with an arrow.
Oh, share. Okay, I have my food sensitivity test on my desktop. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, bring it up. That's a great treat.
So do I open that first? Or do I hit share first?
Hit share first. and then you can open it. Or it doesn't matter, actually.
Okay. All right. Oh, crap. Now if I click this, will this? All right. That didn't, it's open on my screen, but it's not open for you. I don't know how to do that. Share with computer sound. All right. Sorry, folks. Clearly. Files. Okay. Google Drive. All right. Well, it's on my desktop. I can't just open it and have it share, huh?
Yeah. Well, as soon as you hit the share button, you'll be able to click which screen you want to share. It'll show up all of them side by side.
Yeah. All right. So Dropbox. I don't want that. Basic. All right. So let me see desktop. All right. So share. All right.
Here we go.
Okay. So can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. Because obviously I can see my screen. I just see a little thing of you. So, okay. So what this is, so it gives me IgE, immune tolerance to IgE, IgG4, and C3D, which is it's a complement. It's a protein that can exacerbate your reaction between 1,000 and 10,000 times. So complement is not something that you want activated in any of this stuff, but these are all the foods that that I've been tested for. So you could see, and immune tolerance to IgG is actually a good thing because that means it helps to assuage that. But you can see, and obviously, one of the things that you should know is that if you have leaky gut, which pretty much everybody does, clearly I do, and I did when I had this, and I'm sure I still do. Anything that you eat is pretty much going to show up on that test, because if you're eating something, it's going to be able to get through and it's going to pull up on your test. But this is a blood test. So these are foods that were found in my blood. And now if you know how your insides work as far as, you know, your mucosal barrier going from your mouth to your behind, that is protecting your insides from the outside. So things come in through there, but they should stay within that mucosal barrier. And clearly these things are not. So you could see, like gluten, like I have, like my actual issue with gluten is low, which is kind of shocking because most people have a big issue with gluten. And I even have some immune tolerance to gluten, which is a good thing. But ginger.
What's your background, Courtney?
I'm sorry?
What's your background, nationality background?
Oh, I'm mostly Polish.
Okay.
I look super Polish, don't I? I'm Polish with my computer skills. But everyone thinks I'm Italian. But no, or like Middle Eastern or some like whatever. But it's funny, when I'm modeling, I get booked as ethnically ambiguous because that's a thing. But yeah, I mean, like, but no, I'm mostly Polish, German, Scotch, Irish, and Transylvanian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so like, if you go down to the less restrictive diet part, you could see, like, it'll tell you what foods you should really eliminate, the things you should rotate in and out, the things that are okay. So it gives you a lot of information in this test as far as like what is inflammatory, what is like a really high, like a hard no, you shouldn't eat it. And actually most of these things can be reintroduced if you take steps to heal your gut. So it's not all like, I have something that showed up on my test, on my DAT test, and now I can never eat it again. You know, most things, if you can heal your gut, can be reintroduced.
Yeah, and you can do it in moderation too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What are some ways to heal the gut? Because yeah, actually, before we get into that, it is really true that just about everybody does have this gut permeability, this
For sure.
tear in their gut somewhere. Like even Dr. Axe says that even he's dealing with that, mostly because of environmental toxins and things like that. You know, we don't all have.
Sure, they play a huge role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that we can start healing this? And let's talk too about the liver detox that you were talking about, whichever you feel like digging into first.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll stick with the gut thing first. One of the best things you could do for your gut is probably to take digestive enzymes. Most people have low stomach acid. So there's really not an excellent test for that. So if you're on a PPI, which is a proton pump inhibitor, do what you can to get off of it. They are terrible for you. What they're exacerbating leaky gut, which then will exacerbate other conditions like autoimmune and things like that, because if you have low stomach acid, you're not breaking your food down sufficiently. And if you're not breaking your food down sufficiently, as it passes through, you have these larger particles that are not being broken down. So either your food's not being digested properly, so your nutrient uptake isn't what it should be, and it's passing through in a larger portion than it should be, and or it's, you know, being able to get through that mucosal barrier that much easier. And so either way, it's bad. A lot of people get really nervous about taking digestive enzymes, but I think that people should try them. Typically you take them like, you know, with a meal, like right before or with, you know, like I have digestive enzymes, and some of them are just like HCl or hydrochloric acid pills, which seems kind of scary, but that's what the pH of your stomach should be. Another issue with nutrient absorption and leaky gut, or things that exacerbate it, are liver bile duct issues. And your liver produces bile, your gallbladder stores it. And so when you eat food, you get that push of bile that comes out, and it's supposed to alkaline, like bile is very alkaline. So your stomach is very acidic. And so as you're eating food, it gets broken down by the acid, then the bile comes in and neutralizes it so that it can pass into the intestines, where your food actually gets absorbed, because nothing happens in the stomach except food getting broken down. It doesn't get absorbed until it goes farther. And so that's another common problem, is that people don't have enough bile, or their bile is thick and sludgy. So if you can take things for liver support and do things to help promote bile, like another good thing to take is ox bile, you know, like a bile salt. I take TUDCA every day for my liver, but I'm very specific about the TUDCA that I take. The TUDCA that I take is from Cellcore Biosciences. Is a practitioner-only baseline, because their scientist, one, he's amazing. I could totally nerd out with him. But the key behind their bile is that he has synthesized that DNA from anything else, because humans, bears, and bulls produce bile. That's it. So the bile that you find on Amazon for like $10 or $20 is from a bear or a bull. Well, I don't want their DNA. I'm not going to take their DNA. And most people don't know that. And if you do know that and you're still taking it, then I'm worried that you clearly don't know what that means because it's not good. You don't want another animal's DNA in your body. Like, who knows how that can express or what that can do. But
or what quality of life they had too, right? Because those energies get into us so easily.
If they stick with it, I mean, you know, they're not getting it from an animal that was like thriving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something that we really need to consider. And not only when we're talking about supplements like that, but as far as, you know, if you're a meat eater, which I am, you know, I eat only grass-fed, grass-finished meat, you know, or heritage pork, because I am not going to, you know, you eat what the animal ate, and I won't eat grains. So if I'm not really, it's a rare occasion that I'm going to eat grains, and I'm super particular about what it is. And so if I'm not going to eat BS food, I'm not going to eat it after something else ate it. Like, that's not going to do me any good. And so that still is part of what is causing these gut issues, is we're not thinking about where our food source came from. And then what if that was eating something else? What did that eat? Because, you know, if they ate it, now you're eating it. You know, it's not that hard to connect the dots.
Absolutely. So I just want to add in about the digestive enzymes. There's like whole foods that you guys can try out too. If you're thinking about liver and digestive enzymes, a really good one is dandelion. And being a herbalist, I always say, you know, if you need something, it's probably growing in your yard. And dandelions are growing wild because we all need them. Like,
make sure the neighbor dog hasn't peed on it, and then
exactly. But you know, try to get them in. The roots are specifically really good, and yeah, but you can use the entire plant. Another really good one, and especially if you're trying to cut out these sugar cravings, is what's called inulin, which comes from a Jerusalem artichoke. And you can just get that in like a white powder and use that instead of sugar. And it is also a digestive enzyme. So,
and that's key. Like, those bitters really, really help to aid digestion. That's the whole point, is the fact that those things, that the dandelion, that they're bitters. And so if you like that, if you like arugula and things like that, make sure you keep them in your salad. I personally don't, so it's a struggle for me. I like more mild greens. I've never been a big vegetable eater, so I've been trying to do more. But I have to find ways to cook things so that I will eat them. And then other times I just know that it's good for me and I just choke it down, because once I started on this journey, I've eaten a lot of really gross stuff.
It's true though, experimentation.
Like I mix my own greens powders and stuff, and I'm like, and the anti-parasitics and stuff that I do, like when I do cleanses and stuff, like, oh God, like it's honestly, none of it's delicious. But when I see the results of it, and it's a minute to take it and then it's done and I move on, I'm like, you know what, it was worth it because I feel the benefits. You know, for anybody out there who's a fitness person or whatever, the first time I put myself on a cleanse, it was a 12-week cleanse. Within the first week, my vitamin P was gone. So you guys know, like you take a bunch of vitamins, you go pee, and you like have expensive urine. And I was taking a lot of good vitamins. And I was like, so within a week that was gone. So my nutrient uptake improved. So right then I knew that I was working on my candida. So that was already starting to be helped within a week. And then within 4 weeks, I had PRs in every major lift, and my squat went up 50 pounds in 4 weeks. The guys were like, what are you taking? I mean, I'm 6 feet tall. Like, you know, I'm like, there's not much to me. And so like, you know, I'm not one of those, sometimes I wish I was like one of those short girls that's built like a fire plug that can move a lot of weight. Like I'm not built like that. And, you know, so I was super pumped to see my strength go up like that. And then to see like, okay, my body is being fed differently because I'm clearing things out was really amazing to see. Okay, just by changing the quality of things and paying attention, I saw really great results. I mean, that was all I needed, you know, and I'm like, okay, this is real.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you can tell us about doing one of these cleanses? What would that really look like if these guys want to do it at home themselves?
One, intermittent fasting is really good.
Yeah, I definitely advocate for that myself.
Yeah, intermittent fasting is great. And you know, once you can get over that hump now, and you probably know this, like if you are hungry every few hours, you're a sugar burner. So you're going to have to wean yourself off of carbs so that you are not going to be hangry all the time. And I can usually do an 18-hour fast, not without a big deal. I notice if I do a 24-hour fast, sometimes it will cause me to binge. But if you can break that cycle and get over that hump and go through that whole autophagy phase, it's amazing for your body. And for bad things that are in your body, if you can go through and do that kind of fast, that's really the cheapest way to do it because you're not paying for anything. And then you're starving everything out that shouldn't be there. And you've got that stem cell regeneration and all of that kind of stuff. So that's probably the best way, you know what I mean? And the cheapest because it's free. Beyond that, you know, it's really hard to say because based on what you want to accomplish, there's certain ways to go about things. And what I would caution people about, and I don't know what you guys have in Canada as far as quality or monitoring of supplements and things like that, I would not buy anything from the drugstore. I used to, I was like everybody else before I started on this journey. Like I needed I went to the drugstore and I got this bottle of this, but you know, because that's all we know. And we believe that people want to help us. They don't want to help us. They want to make money. So once I really started getting into the practitioner lines and seeing the differences in the quality, it is so worth the money. I've seen my results and results of my patients and clients really be much better. And I've told them just to take stuff and just throw it in the garbage. Like their Centrum and the BS for, you know, toss it. I'm like, it's garbage. Because those are synthetics. And if those things are synthetic, your body doesn't recognize them. So your uptake is going to be minimal. Whereas if you take a good quality supplement, you can most likely take less than you would of something that's synthetic. And your uptake and your benefit is going to be so much better because your body recognizes it and knows what to do with it. So ideally, whole foods, organic, non-GMO, do that as much as possible. You can juice too, but you know, again, if you're juicing, especially make sure it's organic. You know, now you're concentrating toxins in that if that's what if they're not. I mean, you're still getting benefits, but things that you're going to eat the skin on, you don't necessarily have to buy organic everything because it can get expensive. Do you need to buy an organic pineapple? No. Do you need to buy an organic apple? Yes. So there's certain things that you really should, you know, like same thing with your vegetables. Spaghetti squash, meh. You know, zucchini, absolutely. So eat as clean as possible. And, you know, I guess there are plenty of practitioners that specialize in certain types of detoxes and that. I'm not trying to plug me, but if people have questions, they can ask, because there's specific things based on what they're going for. And then there's also, depending on what they want, there's also a certain order things should be done in. Like if somebody wants to clear out heavy metals, you kind of have to times their metals, but the parasites are still alive. That's a problem.
So how would they be able to find you if they want more information about this, wanted, do that consultation of 20 pages and really get to the root of what's going on?
I don't put somebody through that right away. Kind of like step 2. It's kind of like, let's see what you want to do, what the plan of attack is. Then if you want to move forward, then we'll do that. So everyone's not like, oh my God. But yeah, they can reach me at, my website is missmoxyfit.com. And there's an info thing on there. So it's either info@missmoxyfit, or you can reach me at trainercourtney5@gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. I'll plug that in for you guys too when I post this video, so you'll be able to find her. Courtney, before we finish up, can you talk to us a little bit about fitness, what your kind of routine looks like, what you would recommend for the entrepreneur that, doesn't always have the time, but needs to be doing this for their stress, for everything, for better sleep, energy.
People ask me, what's the best time of day to work out? Whenever you will consistently do it. What's the best workout routine? Whatever you will consistently do. I'm not going to be like, you should be boxing because you have a high stress job. And you're like, F you, I hate this. Like, I just want to do yoga. Okay, then do yoga. If that's what you're going to do, God bless you, go do something. So the best thing for you is what you will do consistently. From there, I have some clients, they hate working out. I saw Sherry earlier. She's like, I hate this. And I'm like, I know, but thank you for coming anyways, because she sees the benefit, but she knows she won't do it without me. If you need a push, hire somebody, watch a video online, whatever it is, figure out what it will take for you to get started doing something, because I promise you, you will feel better after you do it. No one has ever said, unless they did something and got injured, oh, I shouldn't have worked out. I said no one ever.
Yeah.
You always feel better. That release of endorphins, you have that energy. I always lift before I have clients. I want to be my best for my clients and be their cheerleader and be their advocate and do all of that stuff. And so I need to start my day working out before them. So I'm in the gym at 6:15 in the morning. I'm lifting right now with a kid. I call him Casper because he's that pasty. I call him Casper as in the ghost. He's 24 and he's going to nationals. He's competing at nationals in a couple weeks. So he and I lift together in the mornings, so that when I start with clients at like 8 or 8:30, I'm ready, and I'm not sluggish, and because they're looking to me for motivation, So if you need that, find someone near you, or find someone online, or, get somebody to give you online programming or something like that. If you just need something to follow, or if you have a specific goal, but just do something. Just start with walking, park a little farther away. If you work in an office building, take the stairs. It's a little bit tough because it's still kind of cold out. But, once the weather gets nice, oh my gosh, what feels better than having the sun on your skin in the springtime? You're like, oh my God, like it's immediately energizing. So, if you're not sure what to do, start with body weight stuff. But especially for the women, push yourself. I don't want to see any of you guys walking around with 5-pound weights. That's BS. Push yourself, because as we get older and our muscle mass declines, more lean muscle mass leads to a lower cause of mortality across all spectrums. So the more muscle you have on your frame, the healthier you will be. So don't think, oh, well, this is kind of heavy. Push yourself. If you could do more than 10 reps, pick up a heavier weight.
I love that. Yeah, and even with hormone health too, that's one thing that I advocate for, is using the weights and really pushing yourself in that way. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's so important for us women, and we don't think about it because it's men that want to be doing those things, and for women we think we got to be more feminine and dance.
I'm one of the only girls in the gym, and probably because of my hair, but nobody mistakes me for a dude in the gym.
Yeah.
And I mean, I lift as heavy as I can. I push myself most days, and it feels good. I want to feel empowered. And it's funny because, people be like, oh, can I help you with that in the grocery store? And I'm like, no, I'm stronger than you are. Can I take it to your cart? No. And I literally will pick up the bag like this with all this heavy stuff in it. And they're like, the woman bringing out my stuff can't pick up a gallon of milk. And I'm like, that's a shame. I live alone. There's probably so many reasons for that. But, I want to be able to handle my own stuff. I don't want to have to go knock on somebody's door or be like, oh, I can't pick this up. I want to do for myself. It's really empowering, and it's a really, really good self-confidence boost to be able to do things for myself. And like you said, it's really good for your hormones. It's really good for your bone density. And I will not be, in spite of how I used to walk when I was self-conscious being tall when I was younger, I will not be walking hunched over when I'm 70 years old, because I've worked on my posture. My bones are strong, I've worked really hard to make sure that I avoid all that stuff. And it's never too late to start, because you could always see a benefit. But, for the women out there who are worried about getting bulky, you're not going to get bulky, especially as you get older. We don't have, number one, the hormones for it, or the ability, the way our muscle is distributed. So unless you're really, really, really petite, and, then you can tend to put on size a little bit easier. But especially as we get older, we don't have the hormones for that. So that's one of the biggest things I hear is, oh, I don't want to put on size, I shouldn't lift weights. Nonsense. Pick up a weight, pick up a heavy one, and put it down, and pick it back up again, and put it down and pick it back up again.
I love it so much. This has been such a blessing having you on. Is there anything else that you want to share with us before we go?
No, just probably I want everybody to take steps to be their own best health advocate. Ask questions. And if you ask a question and you get blown off, ask it again. Find somebody else to ask. And if you get told, oh, this just happens as you get older, tell them that's not a sufficient answer. There has to be a reason. There still is a reason. If it happens because you get older, there still is a cellular pathway, a functionality type of reason that these things are happening. Make sure you get answers for yourself, and make sure that if something doesn't make sense to you, that you have it clarified. Don't let the doctors treat you like you are inferior because you didn't go to the same school that they did. And if you want an answer, make sure that you get it, or make sure that you find somebody who can give you something satisfactory so that you have something to build on. Because ultimately, if we don't take care of our own health, if we're not looking out for ourselves, nobody else will. You'll be shoved a pill and sent on your way.
Yeah, exactly. And we can't settle for that.
No.
We know better. We our instincts tell us all the time. I hear all the time when people go to the doctors, even my family who doesn't necessarily take the best care of themselves, and it's like, they still know that what the doctor's telling them isn't serving them, and yet they're settling. And it's like, don't settle, do better.
It's just, they don't know what else to do. And so that's fine. I understand, for a long time, I didn't know what else to do. But there are people out there that can help you, and there are resources online. I'm not going to say believe everything you read online, but there are resources, and there are credible doctors that truly want to help people get better. And, you can be off prescriptions if you're on them. You can be off a lot of these things, and you really can feel better. It breaks my heart to see how many people are in chronic pain and feel like that's it. They don't have another option. And I think that's heartbreaking. And we need to be proactive. We need to love ourselves enough to be proactive, to say, this isn't good enough, I want better.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not doctor bashing hour or anything.
No, gosh, no.
Courtney and I both work with doctors. We love doctors, and we still go and see our own family doctors. They serve
things they don't know.
But so does these other, you serve a purpose for yourself too. You're the one who knows yourself better than anybody else is. You're the one that needs to be in tune with your body. And the best way to do that is to clear out these mixed messages that you're getting from this crappy food, from these prescription drugs that are really confusing your body, and just listen. Yeah. What is it that you need? And start asking those questions. It's
for sure.
And I'm so grateful that you're on today. This is going to be really helpful for a lot of people.
I hope so. I just want people to be like, wait a minute, I have options. There's another path. I can feel better. Yes. But, start with your doctor. If you like your doctor, go there and ask the questions, because 99% of doctors really do want to help you. They may not have an answer, but are they willing to help you find it, or do they dismiss you?
Yeah.
That's where the keys are. And so, but there's a lot you can find out from lab work. And, a lot of things do need lab work to come up with a definitive answer, so you know what path to take. Yeah. So if you have good insurance and you can do these things, go get those labs run. Go get some answers for yourself so you can see what is best for your body.
Yeah, and in Canada, if you guys are interested in doing like some of this food allergy testing or anything like that, you do have to pay for it most of the time because the doctors aren't associating it. So, people that are doing functional medicine like Courtney, that's a great resource to go in and get this testing done for yourself.
Yeah, I can run pretty much any lab. Like, I get excited, like what do I want to run on myself? Because so much that I want to know. Once you start to see the nuances of some of the tests, I'm like, oh, I want to know this. Oh, I want to know this. Oh, I want to know this. And I'm like, okay, just slow down. But it's really fascinating because you can find out so much about your own body that why wouldn't you want to know?
Yeah. Yeah, the rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. The rabbit hole.
All right, love. I'm going to turn this off now. Love you guys. So grateful that you're here. I'm going to leave Courtney's information below, and we'll talk to you soon.